Welcome back to another video. I'm going to get started in just a sec. We're going to be talking a lot. We're going to be talking Trey Lance, Jimmy Garoppolo, the defense, the quarterback dilemma, and so much more about the 49ers in this quick period of time. Thank you guys so much for coming through, and I'll get started in just a sec. So, the 49ers, they played a big time game last week, or I guess yesterday on Sunday, against the Houston Texans. Trey Lance had his second career NFL start, and it probably went better than expected. I'd say that because Trey Lance was able to settle in and he was able to do a lot of things that we didn't see in his first start against the Arizona Cardinals. Trey Lance Trey Lance was definitely a lot more poised in the second half than the first half, but Trey Lance had like different this different element to him than a Jimmy Garoppolo because Trey Lance when he came through, he first in the first half, right, it was a lot of running. As expected because the Houston Texans do have a pretty poor run defense, but it was a lot of running, not a lot of passing, and especially not a lot of deep shots, which Trey Lance excels at. I personally think Trey Lance is a better intermediate and deep thrower than he is a short thrower, just because he's looking to take those shots rather than looking for a check down. But in the second half, Trey Lance was doing much better as a pocket passer. Not only that, but sensing the pressure, finding the open people, and hitting them. In the first half, what he was doing was like on a couple of the plays where the window is there, but it's just not open enough. Trey Lance decides to either tuck it and run, or he holds onto the ball a little too long in the first half. In the second half, what happened was Trey Lance was hitting his like whenever he saw that first opening, he was hitting that target immediately. One of the best plays was to one of the best plays was to from Trey Lance, and that he hit Brandon Ayuk right in the middle. It was a slant. It was a great throw for from Trey Lance right in the middle, Jimmy Garoppolo esque because it was right inside of the numbers, a bullet right to Brandon Ayuk, who was able to make something of the play through yards after the catch. That was huge from Trey Lance. I thought that was one of his best plays all day long. But moving over to the second half, after punting on multiple drives in the first half, although he did have a 56-yard drive and a 30-yard drive, Trey Lance was able to move the football a lot more. He was able to make the offense a lot more dangerous. And I wrote about this in an article today. Let's check that out quick. So I myself was saying that Trey Lance makes the 49ers offense more dangerous than Jimmy Garoppolo. I don't think that that is a like I don't think that that is such a bold claim, but rather it's what we see on the field. And I know Trey Lance has only played in 2 games, and really, you only take this start into factor because Trey Lance was not ready in week 5 when he started. But Lance threw just 23 times. Still, he had a 10.8 yards per attempt average for 248 yards total, and he also added 8 carries on the ground. Some of those carries didn't really go anywhere, but it wasn't as many designed runs as you saw in the first game where he had 12 designed runs and 4 takeoffs. Here it was 8 carries, about which I think 5 were designed runs and 3 were him utilizing his speed and trying to get out of the pocket. But he threw for 2 touchdowns and the interception. On the interception, Trey Lance, one thing that you should note about Trey Lance was on the interception, it wasn't entirely a bad read. Trey Lance, when he looked on that interception, that for the 49ers, every time they scheme that play, that is the exact read that you go to. The over route to the outside guy, which was Kittle. Only this time a linebacker was tailing Kittle, so Lance underthrows the ball. That's why an interception happened. But if Lance he himself admitted it in the postgame, in his own postgame presser that he underthrew the ball. That's why it was intercepted. If Lance put some more air on that ball, it's probably a completion, but Lance could also throw that ball away. Those were the 2 reads in that play, in my opinion. In real time, when you look at it, sure, you could hit Ayuk or Samuel, but those are the third and fourth read on that play. It's Kittle first, and then you progress to the left or to the right side of the field. That's why you don't hit Ayuk and Samuel on the first read. It's because that's just not how the play is designed. So it was a good job by Trey Lance to identify who really was the number one read on that play, which was Kittle, and make a good play in terms of identifying, stepping in the pocket and making a throw. He's just got to put more air on that ball next time or throw it away. Either way works. But that was definitely something that Trey Lance made a mistake on, and he improved in the second half. I wrote, during the first half, as expected, San Francisco relied on the run game against an inferior Texans run defense. The Houston Texans ranked 27th in run defense going into this game. They were 19th in the pass, but they were a really, really bad defensive team, especially against the run. But Trey Lance, after that 2-minute drill in which he was able to hit Brandon Ayuk multiple times, he hit Deebo Samuel, who got yards after the catch for a nice play. After hitting all two or both of those receivers for big gains, he was able to get the 49ers in field goal range, put the game at 7-3 going to halftime, and then settled in, scored 20 points at the end in the second half. That was a beautiful job by Trey Lance, in my opinion. I know the offense started off slow, and with Jimmy Garoppolo, that likely doesn't happen. But I think that Trey Lance did a great job in that he utilized his offensive capabilities and made sure he learned how to improve. That's something that you'll see a lot from Trey Lance going forward. Now, let's talk about one of the more important things, which is who's going to start in week 18? Is it Trey Lance or is it Jimmy Garoppolo? I personally believe that Trey Lance should start in week 18. And I'm not a Jimmy Garoppolo hater at all. I've actually been a proponent of Garoppolo because I think that he's made spectacular plays. I think he's definitely had a good second half of the year. I definitely think he's played efficient football. He fits Kyle Shanahan's scheme in that he can play efficient football, although something's coming tomorrow. We'll see about that. But I think that Trey Lance just provides the 49ers with such a different element in the passing scheme. If you look at this chart right here, let's pull it up. If you look at this chart that Rich brings up about the about Trey Lance's passing chart and also Jimmy Garoppolo's, you'll see. Look at Trey Lance's chart. Trey Lance throws to all facets of the field. He throws deep. He can throw past 30 yards. He did that twice. He throws it past 20 yards as well. He'll throw over the middle. He'll throw to the outside the numbers. He'll throw inside the numbers. And he even sets up the screen plays on multiple times. He throws every single pass in the 49ers arsenal, which is just phenomenal because that stretches out the field. You saw in the second half when Trey Lance was throwing the football a lot more, you saw him move a lot more. And you saw him be able to either get out of the pocket and make plays or find open receivers. And also the running game, that's what really improved as a facet of Trey Lance's ability to stretch the field. Elijah Mitchell ran 21 times for 119 yards. In the first half, is a bit of a struggle. In the second half, that's where you see all these 10-yard runs, all these big plays from Elijah Mitchell that propels the 49ers offense forward. It's not only Trey Lance, it's Elijah Mitchell, but the quarterback helps open up the field, which makes the running game easier, especially on the offensive lineman. So it was a great job by Trey Lance for throwing to all facets of the field and not being able to let it rip, or not being he wasn't like hesitant to let it rip because in the beginning of the year, in the beginning of the week, you saw Fred Warner say, "Hey, Trey Lance." During some of his scout practices earlier on in the year, he was not willing to throw those passes. He was pausing a lot. He was hesitant and he tucked off and ran. But now with all the practice that he's done on the scout team, it's a great job that Trey Lance has been able to, find these different people on the field, make different types of throws, and use the arm talent that he has rather than relying just on his legs. If we look at Jimmy Garoppolo, look at this passing chart almost entirely inside the numbers. And I'm not saying that Jimmy Garoppolo is a guy who will only throw inside the numbers. I don't think that that's entirely true, but I think that Jimmy Garoppolo would rather take a safer throw. Despite being a riskier player, I think Jimmy Garoppolo takes the safer throw rather than hitting a guy 10 yards down the field. He'll take a guy 5 yards down the field. You'll see it on a lot of bootlegs where he hits the short guy rather than the long guy. That's just because Jimmy Garoppolo, that's what he's used to. And it's not anything bad because both plays probably end up with the same amount of yardage. But Jimmy Garoppolo's ability, it's like significantly, I guess, I wouldn't say challenged, but it's significantly different than Trey Lance's in that where he's capable, he throws between the numbers. What else does he do? He throws specifically like these slant route type of passes, rather than letting plays progress, hitting guys in different areas. And he also doesn't throw deep. He's kind of limited in where he throws the football. And it's not like the routes aren't there. I disagree. I think the routes are there because you'll see Brandon Ayuk run that same corner route every single play, or not every single play, but every single game. Brandon Ayuk runs the same corner route where he'll sit in behind the linebackers, but in front of the secondary, and he gets an open spot in zone coverage. 49ers run that play efficiently. It's just Jimmy Garoppolo doesn't hit Brandon Ayuk because he doesn't believe in his ability to make that throw. Trey Lance, that's a different story. You saw that at the end of the second half when Trey Lance hit Brandon Ayuk. I know it was a tip pass, but Trey Lance hit Brandon Ayuk, who made a spectacular catch on the sideline. That was a great job by Brandon Ayuk. But that's the type of throw that I'm talking about, where Jimmy Garoppolo, he's not making that throw. So it's a difference in quarterback. I think that Trey Lance should start in Week 18 just because, first of all, he's healthier than Jimmy Garoppolo. That's a big thing because Garoppolo is going to be nowhere near 100%. He tore his UCL in his right thumb, which is his throwing hand. He hasn't been able to grip a football, and despite not being on the injury list following the game this Sunday on Kyle Shanahan's postgame presser, I think that's just another tactic to try and throw off the Rams in Week 18 from Shanahan, which really hasn't successfully worked, especially it did in Week 17. But I don't think Jimmy Garoppolo is going to be anywhere near 100%. I don't know when he's going to be able to grip a football or throw a football, but Trey Lance, he's the guy who you just saw in Week 16, or he's the guy like that the offensive line is now adapted to for the last week of practice, and it's a huge change from Trey Lance to Jimmy Garoppolo. In addition, he's healthier than Jimmy Garoppolo, and he provides a more dangerous element at quarterback than Jimmy Garoppolo, which is why I think it's important that Trey Lance continues to start in Week 18. But the thing is, if Trey Lance does not play as well as he did against an inferior Texans team compared to an amazing Rams defense, we should not harp on Trey Lance, especially if the 49ers miss the playoffs, just because this is a guy going into his third NFL game, coming off a year where he didn't play football. It's completely different landscape when you talk about Trey Lance and Jimmy Garoppolo. And I don't think it's fair to Jimmy Garoppolo if you play him out this week. His camp has been pushing out to Ian Rappaport that he's going to require surgery. It's like his camp and the 49ers brass have just been divided. One story, Kyle Shanahan said, look, Garoppolo might not need surgery. I don't think he will need it. And he gave a medical explanation last week. But then on Sunday, Ian Rappaport comes out in the morning saying Jimmy Garoppolo is likely to require surgery. It's like divided, and it's understandable given that Jimmy Garoppolo is likely frustrated that Shanahan's pushing a different narrative. But like Jimmy Garoppolo and his thumb, I don't think it's fair to him to like throw him out in his likely final game as a Niner and have him be less than 100% and not showcase the full like his full ability. I don't think that that's fair to Jimmy Garoppolo, which is why I don't think that he should start on week 18. And with Trey Lance having 2 starts under his belt, there's no reason not to ride the hot hand and continue if the 49ers make the playoffs. But moving forward, from the Trey Lance Jimmy Garoppolo debate, let's talk about a big time topic. And this is a topic that really hasn't been talked about a lot, and that is the defense. The 49ers defense is legit. I just posted another article as well. We'll quickly check that out. But the 49ers defense has been phenomenal for the entire year. I know that they've been harped on multiple different times because people when there's like not really like a significant hole other than the quarterback, which a lot of people love to love to talk about in Jimmy Garoppolo, people will harp on the defense just because they think, okay, look, we have cornerbacks, Josh Norman, he's not good. Whoever else starts alongside him, which is Ambry Thomas right now, he's a rookie. So they like to harp on the defense, but the defense has been nothing but phenomenal this year. Against this Texans team, they held them to just 7 points and 222 total offensive yards. The more phenomenal part, it's 3.6 yards per play, which is 4th best in the Shanahan era. I heard that last night. It was just such an amazing stat. I had to include it. But the Texans offense, like they put up 41 points on the Los Angeles Chargers. And I know the Los Angeles Chargers aren't as good of a defense, but 41 points against that Chargers team last week. And I believe it was on the road as well. They beat Los Angeles in Los Angeles, which was props to the Texans offense. But this week coming in, the 49ers just flat out overplayed this Texans offense. Davis Mills, he was not efficient. He threw for just 163 yards on 5.1 yards per play. His touchdown, it was a good catch by Brandon Cooks and a good route by Brandon Cooks, so it made it easy. But he also threw an interception. And then more importantly, the 49ers run defense has just been phenomenal over the last couple of weeks. Rex Burkhead, he rushed for 149 yards last week on significantly efficient play with 6.8 yards per carry. He was only limited to 2.9 against the 49ers. He rushed 15 times for just 46 yards or 47 yards against the 49ers. That's a completely different narrative. And the 49ers, their defense, especially against the run, has just improved drastically over the course of the season. Jordan Elliott here, my guy from Niners Nation, he said that the 49ers defense allowed 7 teams to rush for 100 plus yards, but over their last 8 games, only one team has, and it was due to a fake punt. So really, the 49ers defense has just been lights out over the second half of the season. And in my opinion, also over the first half of the season. I thought the passing defense wasn't as bad as people set it out to be. And when you look at the teams that they've played, in week 1, they played the Detroit Lions, and they were good until garbage time where they played their backups. They were pretty good. Week 2, the defense wins the game for the 49ers. Jimmy Garoppolo did not have a good game. The 49ers won 17-11 against the Philadelphia Eagles. And we've seen the Philadelphia Eagles are a playoff team. They held Jalen Hurts to, I think, 50% completion percentage, which was a big time thing. And they also have played phenomenal on multiple different occasions this year. You see against the Arizona Cardinals, they only gave up 17 points to the best offense at the time in the league in Kyler Murray, who really has been really hard to contain because he's not a quarterback that is like a Matthew Stafford, a pocket presence. He has the ability to use his legs. He has the ability to throw the football. That makes it so much harder, especially with the defense, which with pretty much average cornerback play, it makes it so much harder. D'Amico Ryan schemed it up perfectly. They defeated the Rams in Week 10, giving up just 10 points. They gave up 10 points to the Jacksonville Jaguars, 13 to the Atlanta Falcons, and just 7 to Houston. They have so many different performances where they've just played flat out much better than the opposite team. Really, in my opinion, there's just one game where the 49ers haven't played well this year, and that is against the Arizona Cardinals the second time they played because they were missing a lot of tackles. It wasn't a pretty performance, but they bounced back. Against the Seattle Seahawks in Week 13, they played a lot better. Jaquaski Tart and Jimmy Ward led the way, and they were just tackling with such a force because the 49ers, obviously, their defense is predicated through their pass rush, but their pass rush, like, while the pass rush was dominant, Seattle had a game plan to get away from the pass rush, which is quick passes, screen plays, and a lot of running the football. And the 49ers, what they had to do in that game was if you want to win, you got to tackle in space and you got to tackle at the line of scrimmage. And that's exactly what they did. K'Wan Williams made a lot of plays. The safety tandem made a lot of plays. And you can even see GJ Jones running, like even at his 300-pound frame, he's running so quick, getting out there in space and making tackles. There are a lot of players on this team that are just really, really good at what they do. And there are a couple that I just named, but they've led to this 49ers defense being one of the top defenses in the NFL despite average cornerback play. And even when we talk about average cornerback play, we've got to talk about the rookie, Ambry Thomas, who continues to improve as a 49er. Ambry Thomas, what he's done over the last couple of games, all he's done is just be nothing but impressive. Because when you look at it, Ambry Thomas this last game, he allowed just one catch for 0 yards. He had a pass breakup, which was a near interception. If he puts 2 hands on that ball and grasps it close, that's a near interception. But Ambry Thomas, he had one pass breakup, one catch allowed only for 0 yards. And the game before that, on 5 passing plays, he had 2 pass breakups. He gave up 2 catches for 46 yards. One was the A.J. Brown pushoff, and another was a 4-yard completion. He had 2 pass breakups that game. And really, he's stepping into a legitimate starting option for the 49ers down the stretch. If Emmanuel Moseley returns in Week 18, I expect Ambry Thomas to be the starter opposite of Emmanuel Moseley, especially after Dante Johnson was replaced Josh Norman as the cornerback number 2 last weekend against the Houston Texans, or on Sunday, I guess. So I think that Emmanuel Moseley, while he's been amazingly underrated, Ambry Thomas has also deserved some recognition, and he's getting that a little more. But he's definitely been a player who's upped his play. And so the cornerbacks, I think they're not as bad as people tell them to be. and that's been the case all season. Looking elsewhere in defense, just some statistics. The 49ers, they rank 7th in sacks per game, but looking closer at the numbers, looking at sack percentage, they actually rank 3rd, which is big time, especially because Nick Bosa gets double teamed and chipped almost every single play. But players like Arden Key, players like Jordan Willis, and other players on that defensive line, which is extremely filled with depth, they are able to make plays. They are able to create pressures and get to the quarterback like they did last against the Texans Sunday, and like they've done so far this entire year. They average 2.7 sacks per game. That's phenomenal. And I think number one is just 2.9. So it's fairly close to number one as well. Looking elsewhere, the 49ers are 5th in passing yards allowed per game. And I know how this stat works. I know it doesn't factor in pass interference plays, but even with pass interference plays, the 49ers passing defense has not been as bad as people bring it out to be. I think it's definitely been underrated, especially with Jimmy Ward and Jaquaski Tart back there being able to make plays both in the passing game and in the running game. And also their rushing yards per game. They're allowing only they're 10th in rushing yards allowed per game, which is phenomenal given how we see here. They allowed teams to rush for 100 yards in 7 of their first 8 games. That's like coming from that feat to where they are right now. It's just such an amazing improvement, showing how this defense has just worked all season, and showing why D'Amico Ryans probably gets a head coaching job sometime soon. I don't know exactly when, but he probably will get some head coaching talk at some point this season. The 49ers defense, they have a tough challenge next week because they face the Rams. Rams just came off a win against Baltimore, 20-19 off a game-winning drive. So it's going to be important for the 49ers to play well against the Rams in order for them to, because obviously it's a must-win. If the 49ers defense plays well, they likely make the playoffs. If they don't, they need some help from the Falcons against the Saints. So we'll see how that goes. But lastly, I want to talk about Trey Lance's second start overall. Going back to it, from the second half specifically, what did I like to see? I like to see the drives. I like to see that he was able to complete deep passes down the field, and I like the ball placement, honestly. I thought that Trey Lance on multiple occasions had good ball placement where he was able to lead the receivers away from defenses. I know he had a couple of poor incompletions. The one on 4th down where he was rolling to his right and missed Deebo Samuel behind him. And then obviously there was one where the pass was batted down by the linebacker where he could have led Trent Sherfield, I believe, but the pass was batted down. But what you see from Trey Lance, it's something completely it's something completely new from the 49ers at the quarterback position. I know a lot of people have compared him to Colin Kaepernick. I honestly think his talent is much higher. His ceiling is much higher than Colin Kaepernick, just as a pure pocket passer. Because while they have the same the same velocity with their throws, Trey Lance is different in that he can communicate, or first of all, his communication with the offensive line, it was much stronger in this game, and I think that leadership is a facet that he's going to continue to improve on. And there are so many different elements of Trey Lance's game, like the accuracy at times, like the pocket presence at times, because you see him, he's avoiding sacks at all costs. I don't think he got sacked this last game, and I know he got pressured a couple of times, but he's been able to avoid sacks, move out of the pocket, and create plays. That's something that the 49ers don't have at the quarterback position, because if pressure comes, Jimmy Garoppolo succumbs, and that's a sack. So it's different when it comes to Trey Lance than it comes to Jimmy Garoppolo. And I know the offensive line, it's going to probably continue to struggle just a little more than it normally does, just because they're adapting for Trey Lance. But it's something worth seeing just because of what you have at the quarterback position. I can't wait for the offseason, but still, we got week 18. So I think Trey Lance starts. What about you guys? Drop your thoughts in the comment section below. And this is where I'm going to sign off. Thank you guys so much for coming, and I'll see you next time. Peace.